Welcome to Kevjet the Podcast. Barbara Banner, psychic, evidential, trance, medium, and healer. Welcome.
Thank you. I am quite happy to be here.
Joining me from LA.
Sunny LA. I am here.
Sunny LA. And we're rainy London. We've had rain every day since January 1st. So every day of 2026, we've had rain.
Look at the bright side. Your country is so green and lush, okay?
It's true. I've been mowing the lawn, actually. My parents in Canada are shoveling snow, so there's that.
It's beautiful.
I think I have to ask, what's a trance medium?
Well, it's trance and channeled are sort of the same things to me. So you really go into an altered state and your cognizant brain and your thoughts are gone. You just get rid of them. They have no place in a trance reading. And you just open your mouth and whoever you've got or you've asked for just gives you messages and they're really doing it. And when you're done, you don't know what you said because you are, when you're doing mediumship, you're cognizant of what you're saying and you remember everything. But when you're doing trance, it's a whole nother, you're in a theta state and it's really cool, but it does suck the energy out of my brain after I do it. But that's just me.
I think
so. I'll send you somebody, Nico, and he's like does the highest level of trance you can get. So
amazing. I look forward to that. I think we have to mention that this was all new to you. Definitely. You were an adult when you discovered this is what you were going to do and you acknowledged it. Your mom was 103 and a half?
103 and a half when I told her what I was doing. I thought she was going to go just right over the edge. And she wanted to at that age, trust me. And then she told me your grandmother was dragging me around to different places with tea leaf readers and psychics when I was a kid. She's got the juju and she had people lining up to talk to her. I said, you're almost 104. What were you waiting for to tell me? She goes, I don't know. They didn't talk about it in those days. Just a couple hundred years ago, people were getting burned at the stakes for saying something like that. So
yeah. And
it's always been hush, hush.
Is it true she brought you a Ouija board when you were a teenager?
And I didn't know I was supposed to like it. I was interested in mediums at that point. There were a few on TV and any kind of paranormal stuff. Thought it was cool. So when all this paranormal stuff started happening in my house, I wasn't scared. I thought, well, okay, bring it on.
What was the first experience?
Well, it all started during the pandemic. I had done an audition video for commercials and decided to look back at it to make sure before I clicked send. There were orbs flying all over the place and I didn't see them when I was doing it. So that was like, what the hell is happening? And then like the next day, some things were flying off the shelf, a clock, a big metal clock, just whoo. My mother-in-law's picture jumped off the mantle. And in two rooms simultaneously, the fan started going on by itself, ceiling fan. It had lights in it. And it was going so fast. It was like I thought, I'm going to get decapitated in two rooms. And I just said, okay. That is a little freaky, and it looks like spirit wants to talk to me, and so I'm going to do something about it. That was it. Took a class and put myself in the closet to do my first, homework, and I saw my father right away, like on the first chance. I never even meditated before I went to this class, so I was like a complete rookie.
Wow, that's amazing. You just welcomed them into your world.
I hit the ground running. I knew I was supposed to do this. I was so excited. But yeah, I had done a lot of volunteering in things that gave me a large breadth of background and information and helping people in grief and trauma. And that's what I did for 35 years at different organizations. I had a lot of background in it. And
this is a different way of healing people because you're giving them messages from loved ones and you're communicating and that's providing healing.
The thing that people say mostly that they miss the physical of them. And I can't do anything about that, but I can help them understand that that's just a suit that they unzipped. They're still here. The person that you love is still around and better than they were usually than when they were in their human suit. So And by showing them and giving them evidence that they're around, it can help with the healing. It's like, oh my God, I said they're not gone. They just went a little ahead of you. So just think of it like that.
What's the biggest misconception about psychic mediums that secretly make you roll your eyes?
Well, that we are here to do dog and pony tricks for clients. Because I say you can ask, your loved ones some questions that are from your heart, not what color outfits were we wearing 3 days before my husband passed? Or what was my nickname when I was 6? And I just say, I don't really know. Spirit can hear you and see you, and he knows what you want to know. And if they feel they want to give you an answer, they will do that. And they didn't. So being skeptical can just ruin your reading. Not from me. It just changes the energy. And Spirit doesn't like to be pushed, Sometimes when you say, I need you to show me something tonight, and, you got to do this, you got to do that, they sort of back away like, okay, chill out, okay? They have a higher purpose. Anyway, and sometimes Spirit will tell me something crazy that they usually don't bring out. And then I know they needed it. This client needed it. She needed to know what she was watching during the pandemic because she hadn't felt her husband for 6 months. And she thought he might have gotten a girlfriend. She was really upset. And so when she asked that question, Spirit gives you what you need to know, not always what you want to know. Okay. And her husband, who was there said it was Outlander. And it was Outlander. Okay. So nobody was more surprised than me. Okay. Now we learn to just trust what you get. But sometimes that's a big ask, out of 10 million shows going on in the 5 years, he knew.
I love that you're open and honest as well. And in your bio, it basically says there's no bullshit. You just say it the way it is. Yeah, I love that.
Well, I count on Spirit to send me people who need me and who are open to somebody who's not, just sitting here in a very serious way, because I just feel you have to be authentic. You have to be who you are. And those who come to me are okay to laugh. It's not going to be, I can't laugh. I feel guilty. Yeah. That's what they want you to do. They want you to laugh and have joy. They're home. They're in the best place in the universe. And they want you to just have a wonderful life, and you'll see them later.
Have you ever had a message from Spirit that you thought, oh my gosh, I can't relay that to the person in front of me?
Yes. You didn't. Yeah. There was.
Well, I did hear a story, but I was just curious to know if.
Really want me to say that?
Yeah.
Okay. So this was before I totally trusted, and I was in like a group reading thing with some other mediums. And I have a grandmother who's in spirit, and a granddaughter, who was like, the sitter. And all of a sudden, I'm seeing Saturday Night Live's one of their top 10 skits called Dick in a Box. Okay. There's no way I could tell this to this 90-year-old spirit grandma. I just figured she'd die all over again. Okay. I couldn't say it. So I froze, and all the other mediums are saying, I think Barbara just had a stroke because she's never been at a loss for words. Okay. So, and I pivoted to something else. I could not say it. And they were doing the dance, and they were really doing it, and singing and everything. And I couldn't. And now when I look back, I should have said something because I figured out why grandmother was showing me that. And I didn't at the moment because her daughter was, in her 20s or something, her granddaughter. And I figured, you know what? Her granddaughter was probably watching SNL last night and saw Dick in a Box.
Yeah.
And that's what she wanted to blow her granddaughter away and let her know I was with you. Okay. We were both watching it, laughing our asses off. So, and only 4 or 5 years later, could I come up with it? Why didn't I do it? I was just really shocked. And then I told my group of mediums what happened, and they just were laughing because they said, we really thought you just like.
I love that. That. Do you ever get messages while you're out shopping in your this normal everyday life?
A few times I wanted to see, because I love the Long Island medium. I love she goes to the butcher shop. And
yeah.
Give me some more prosciutto there, okay? So I was in Target and I wanted to see if I had the juju in Target. So there was a salesperson there and I described her grandmother to a T and even some of her, facial expressions. And she said, yeah, that's her. I said, okay, thanks. The girl was selling electronics. I couldn't start giving her a reading in the middle and she didn't ask for it. So, but she was happy to know that grandma was around her. So I don't do that. I do get some drop-ins around 3 a.m. to 4. That seems to be the witching hour where the veil is the thinnest. So, and usually it's to give me a download of information that I'm going to need or some really good, juicy evidence for somebody.
Right.
For somebody that might have been very, very skeptical and that could just blow her away. So whatever they come, I just say, don't come and give me some, banal crap, just
Don't waste me up and
don't waste
my
my time. Don't wake me up and waste my time. It better be one hell of a piece of evidence. So
Do you have a spiritual guide that teaches you and is around you all the time?
well, we all have a bunch of guides around us, depending on what our needs are. If you're having a religious issue, you could get a monk coming in from the 12th century that's going to help guide you and lead you. But there's some that are there all the time, that are there from the time you were a little spark in the universe. And that's like your main guide. And then I have a mediumship guide and some Native American Indians. And that's why I was number 1 in my high school archery class. I never picked up a bow and arrow before. And all of a sudden, there's nothing but bullseyes. And I was number 1, they said. Where did that come from? And then going back through some other lives, I saw I was a little squaw and I was shooting a lot with that. And I'm a really great shot with a gun as well when I practice. And who knew? Because when I was 5, I picked an Annie Oakley lunchbox. Everyone else has Barbie and I got Annie Oakley. So it does seep down in our DNA, okay, in our other lives. Some of the things we do well, some of the fears we have that follow us around, and some of the pains. Everyone has some part of their body that is weaker than the other. They have breathing, they might have asthma, or they might always, a twitchy shoulder or whatever. And if you go back centuries, you'll find somebody who got hit with a bayonet in the Civil War. And this woman has nothing but shoulder problems in, 2018. So it's there. It's there. It's like the DNA is just jumping in.
It is. So we get to the point where you're like, okay, I'm doing this. This is what I'm meant to be doing now. And I've got it. And you're so confident with it. How do you start seeing clients?
Well, the ego part is the negative, okay?
Right.
Because it's not us. It's not me who's doing it. Spirit. I'm just the mouthpiece. I'm just the vessel. And I was getting that, a little confused, because, well, you take a lot of classes, and in the classes you need to do practices with other mediums. So there's sign-up sheets and this, that, and the other. And after a few of my readings to other classmates, they were writing in Facebook, oh my God, Barbara Banner did this. And all of a sudden, I had like 100 other students signing up for me to read them.
Wow.
And people were saying, you ought to hang a shingle. Believe me, I was going by the seat of my pants. I didn't know what I was doing, but it happened to be accurate. And everybody wanted to do it. And I just started donating readings. And all of a sudden, I got a website and it's word of mouth. And then, I do a lot of TikTok and Instagram of little funny things that happen in the readings. So it can dispel any ideas people have that it's scary and maybe some dark energy I haven't had any dark energy coming into any of these readings. If anything, be ready to smile and be wondrous about what spirit can do and what it's like.
Yeah.
On the other side.
How do you deal with somebody who's like in severe grief and they come to you because they're just so desperate for that communication and that they're just desperate to hang on to anything that you'll give them, but you're giving them the right message, obviously. But do they continue to come and see you, I guess is my question there. Do they
I do get a lot of repeat. I get some people come like every year. If I had a great reading with them 2 months ago, they'll send a lot of people. A good reading needs three things. It's like three legs in a stool, which one of my teachers, Suzanne Giesman, said. It has to be the client, the spirit, and the medium all have to be they all have to do their job. When a client comes in and they are in such deep grief, first of all, they may not be ready for a reading, but it alters the energy, and it's all about energy. Spirit is energy. And if I bring them if they come into this low energy, it's really hard to keep the link. Now, one of my clients, this was the second time I was going to see her. She came in and she looks like she had a hangover. I mean, she just like rolled out of bed, and it was just down and I said, look, if you want me to read you, you better stand up and you better give me 10 jumping jacks right now. So she did it, and she said, I needed that. So she was jacked up after that. And we had a great reading. But there's no way it could be the same. So some people who are skeptical, it doesn't affect me. I don't get upset. It's just your reading is not going to be, we're not like monkeys, that we do things for applause. That's not what we're here for. We are trying to help your soul and help you work through grief, knowing that there is something on the other side and that your loved one is still around you. That's what I want them to leave with, that yes, she couldn't possibly know this. That, I told one woman at the end, she goes, it's been such a great reading. I want to just go out on something really funny. So I said, I said, who loves cottage cheese? She said, my husband and I both love cottage cheese. I said, your son says you need some more. So she goes to the refrigerator and she takes me with her with the phone, and there's like hardly anything left. And she goes, oh my God, we need cottage cheese. So it's like, how can you make this stuff up? And it just makes them know that he's there. He knows they need cottage cheese, for God's sakes. You know what I mean? And those things give you hope.
It does. How do you describe to somebody when they ask, where does my loved one go when they pass away?
Well, that's very complicated. We could be living 5 different lives simultaneously. I'm not going to get into any of that. They go home and forget about what plane they're in. Just think they're in heaven, okay? That they're in a place that is the most comfortable, filled with love. There's no such thing. Nobody judges you. Nobody's mad at you. They don't care about anything except your emotions and your soul. So they're not in the bedroom, if you've got another guy. They're not interested, okay? It's like, pull the shade down. I don't want to know from that. That's not what we're here for. We're here to help you, guide you in your life to fulfill what you're supposed to be doing and put little things in your head and help you use your own intuition, because we could all do this. If you've got a soul, you've got the toolbox to be a medium or a psychic or whatever. That's all you need. And a lot of work. I always try to say this, I say they did not go alone, and there was somebody on this edge of the bed. I mean, it looks like the mother, and I described her, and, she had that kind of face, and they all say, yeah, that was her mother. And then yesterday I had a motorcycle riding grandmother that helped her son, transition. So anything they can grab onto, like, how do you know this?
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah. It gives them hope.
It's a beautiful thing. It really is. Do you ever give a not so lovely message?
Have not had. Spirit isn't there to teach them a lesson, because they don't judge anybody. So that would be judging them if they said, you're dressing like a floozy, okay? Well, the client said, yeah, she did dress like a floozy, but so that's not what they're there for. They're there to let them know that they're there, and that they're there to help and to guide them and to help them with their intuition. And I always say it's like they're running in front of you and removing like little stones so that you don't trip. And they're, behind you, giving you a little push when you need it, and putting little things in your head so that you think you're really smart and you came up with a great idea. But that was Grandpa.
Yeah. And there's always little signs. I'm aware of them. And I think some people aren't aware of them, or sometimes they'll say, oh, that was a bit strange, but it made me think of so and so. But I see them every day in my life, and I just always know that that person is there. And I think it's comforting.
It is. It is, because they're seeing them. They're bouncing back and forth at the very end. And you must see a lot of terminal lucidity going on at the end as well.
Definitely.
Like popping up and saying, all right, my car is parked at 7B. Okay, so here's the keys right here. And then they're back down into dementia.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I always say, when that happens, I tell the family, I'm like, okay, it's probably going to be in the next, 24 hours, definitely, because this is a common thing. And the families often think that their loved one is better.
It's better. Oh my gosh, we'll be able to take him home tomorrow. Right.
Exactly.
No. He is going home, but not to your house.
Exactly. I love all this. I love this conversation because not everybody experiences it. And it's educational, because I think everybody should experience the end of life with somebody. It's like, I just had a guest based in LA, actually, and she's a hospice nurse. She described being with a patient even who passes away, similar to a birth. And I thought that was really interesting. She said it's the same feeling. It's because that person is going home, and she used those words as well. But it's similar to a birth, because it's a beautiful thing. And it's like a birth, you have this beautiful baby that's just come into this world and
transitioning to another place.
And I just love that the way that she described that, and I totally get it.
I'm a medium, talk to dead people. That's my husband says, you don't have to tell everybody what you're doing. And, and now he's proud of me. So because.
Well, he should be. I bet. What was his response when you told him that for the first time?
Well, he was with me when the lights and the fans were going off and the clock flew off the wall. When I took this class, I said, because it was called soul to soul communication. So I like tweaked it a little. I said, I'm taking a communication class, because I've been was in advertising and marketing for decades. And I said, it's, soul to soul communication. And after I started doing this, I was having a lot of success and I was loving it. And I knew that so I just sat down. I said, look, I've been taking this class and I love it. And I've gotten some incredible evidence and just it's unbelievable, the things that I'm getting. And I said, you can either be part of it and enjoy this whole ride with me, or I could just keep it to myself. And he said, I'm in. But don't go around telling people you're a medium right now. So yeah, I sort of did it on my own. Like I told you before, I went into the closet and closed the door because I didn't know where I was going to practice. So I came out of the closet, and he's okay with it.
Nice. I love that. What responsibilities do you feel that comes with this? Do you feel like it's a big responsibility?
It's a major responsibility. I felt that way when I was on the crisis response team for the city of LA, and I would go to a scene where there were the police and the coroner was there, and there was the deceased body was on the scene, and then the family came. And I just felt such a responsibility that I was the first person to talk to them on the worst day of their lives. And it couldn't be more real than, seeing it. And I still feel the same, that it is my responsibility. Well, it's like for a doctor, do no harm. Okay. And in the beginning, I might have caused a little upset. Okay. Because Spirit was just showing me all the gory details of it. And I was just saying what I saw, and it could cause more trauma. So I always make sure if they want things sugar-coated, let me know. I mean, they don't. They want to know everything. And people do come to me because their loved one was murdered or they don't know exactly how they died. And I tell them, for some reason, one of my talents is I could draw that white line of where the body was and what position they're in. And I don't know why I get that, but I do. And it seems to answer some questions about what happened at the end. So I can help with that. And just say what you see and don't try to embellish it or You just got to be 100% truthful.
How do you speak to children that might ask you questions?
Well, there's a lot of research and books on how to talk to children about death. And in our training, it was, gosh, it's like sort of tell them the truth, but in a different way. Like daddy's body stopped working. They need to know it's final. They need to know he's not coming back in a certain way that a young child, like under 5, can understand it. Like, I would say he's going to be watching over you. But some of the parents went, of the children just went into all these things. He's an angel now and and they thought, oh, then maybe he'll fly down tonight, and be daddy again. He's not physically coming back, but he's going to always love you and protect you and watch over you. So we had a whole seminar in working with children who's just had a passing.
Have you ever chosen not to deliver a message?
Well, that was the Dick in a Box.
Right. Oh, yeah, of course. But yeah.
And that's really the one where I didn't say anything. I did tell a girl that her grandmother just told her to do phone sex if she needed money. And the minute it came out of my mouth, I said, I didn't say that. I had nothing to do with that. Okay. I am so sorry. But she said that was an ongoing thing with her and her husband, a joke for years. Like, you want another chair? That one's fine. Sit on it or go do some phone sex. And they had just been talking about it the night before. So Spirit just said, I'm just doing it. So that one just blew out of my mouth.
I love that. How do you protect yourself from emotional residue after readings?
Well, doing all of the really roll up your sleeves and get dirty kind of volunteer things, which I've just been dealing with that on an ongoing basis for 35, 40 years. I seem to be able to compartmentalize. I think I cried maybe once, and it had to do with children and their father. Jennifer Aniston said once about Brad Pitt, I think he's missing an emotional chip. And for some reason, I think I've been given that chip when I need it, because I am so focused. I am here to help. Nobody wants to know how I feel. I don't want to start crying in a session, because it takes the spotlight off what's happening. And so people used to ask me when I would tell them that I worked with dead bodies within the police, and they'd say, "Why do you do that?" And it was so clear to me. I just said, because I can. Not everybody can. So that's been a gift.
Yes, that's
in that way. Yeah.
If science could measure your ability tomorrow, what would you want it to do?
If science could measure,
yeah.
Well, I probably wouldn't even go into to get a measurement, because that's all ego. Okay, that has nothing to do with why I'm here or my purpose or helping other people. And I've worked very hard to take the ego away. Okay, I'm not. That's why I tell clients who are asking questions, say, I don't want to know the question, and then my mind cannot get involved at all.
Of course. When a client books with you, how much information do they withhold?
I don't want to hear anything about them. If they start saying one word, I say, stop right there. I need a clean slate. In fact, when I'm giving my little intro, I say things like, Spirit loves to have your enthusiasm too raise the vibration. If I tell you something, like if I say your mother waddles when she walks, and you want to say, oh my God, she did. She was so bow-legged. I said, that's fine, because I brought it up. But do not go right from there and say, but she lost an arm in a wood chipper in 88. Do not tell me that. I don't want to know. If she wants to bring that up, she will. So I will stop them mid-sentence if they try to say anything.
Love that. Is deja vu a psychic glitch, or is it something else?
I think it's a past life you're remembering.
Because it happens so often, and so many people say, I feel like I've done this, or I've been here.
You did.
Yeah.
You say you did. Okay. I've got this little cafe in Paris on a corner that I see all the time. And then when I was in Paris, I said, that looks familiar. So yeah, it's from another life. Like, you feel a connection. Like, I am so connected to the Egyptians. I just feel like I know I was just there 2 years ago. And, I'm talking to Ramses II. We're having a convo. I was so connected with that. And I know I've been, that's part of me.
Yeah. Do you believe that the future is fixed, flexible, or completely fluid?
Here's what I believe. I believe we all come down with a soul contract that has been worked on and created by the masters, by the councils, by our guides to get the most bang for your buck in your next life. Or how much karma do you have to work out? What are the lessons you still need to learn? Because if you don't figure out something in this lifetime, like a lesson, like help others, you're coming back and you have to take that class again. You cannot skip a class, but you have to take the class again until you figure it out. And I've heard some people have to come back 8 times just to figure one lesson out. I love Dolores Cannon. She's just amazing with all these little things because she helped people go back. So I do believe that's there. And she also says you can tear up the contract if you can't take it. You just have to visualize saying, I am done with this contract, and visualize tearing it up and burning it up and burying it. And then you can try to forge a new way. And there's also free will. So you can fight it. You can just say, no, I know I should buy this house, but I'm going to buy the one that's twice as expensive and needs a lot of work. And because I just feel it. So that's free will, and you'll suffer for that.
I think I do that quite often.
Yeah. I feel that Spirit knows what we need to do, but we have to approve it. So, and some people figure, I have a lot of bad karma behind me. I'm going to pack this life full of misery and horrible things and, lots of lessons. And I'm going to be digging ditches in El Salvador, or in the coal mines somewhere. Thinking, okay, I'm really going to clean up a lot of this mess. And they are too overwhelmed. And that's when I believe they take their own life, because I do not believe that you sign up for suicide. That's just not what I have been taught.
Have you ever?
And they think they can do it, and they want to. I mean, first of all, coming to Earth is the hardest planet, the most difficult planet in the universe to come to. And it's like, if you decide, there's a line for Earth to come down because people want to get over this and just go to the hammock, on the beach for eternity instead of dealing with drug, overdoses and a kid that, spits on you all the time. And so they just want to pile it on. And if you go to Earth and come back, it's like ticker tape parade. You got it. Kudos. Yeah. So we're picking the worst place to come. Yeah. Supposedly on some of the other planets, it's party time.
Well, where do we sign up?
The thing is, when we come back down, our memories are wiped.
That's
because
right.
It's not a test or a lesson if you know the questions.
Have you ever connected with someone who didn't realize they were gone?
In some of my early classes, there were a few people that came that, like, there was a woman who kept calling the name of a man and looking for him. And she turned around and she had like a knife in her back. Most people know. I haven't had a spirit who doesn't really know that they're gone. I guess if somebody wants, because I always ask them, tell me who is the most important person you want me to bring, because people think it's open mic night on the other side, and they just want to come down when the doors open. And I say, it's not open mic night. So, and they'll tell me like their father or their mother or their husband. And I haven't had a husband or, a wife walk in with a knife in their back. It just seems they're not the ones that are going to want to be there. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to answer the questions. There would be It would be like they have dementia or something.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of how to word this next question, but has this work you're doing, has it healed you in any way?
I am not the same person I was when things were flying off the walls. I have opened up to realize that I sort of say, we're living in Alice in Wonderland, and the rest of the population doesn't have a clue. Okay. When they get on the other side, they're just going to be so surprised. And especially the religious sects, that say there is no afterlife, and the ones who say you're going to get 62 virgins if you blow up a school, they're going to realize they got sold a bill of goods. Okay.
Yeah. Definitely. I like to have this little segment that I do, which is Kevjet's quick fire questions. Let's just have some fun and see how it goes.
Okay. All right.
One word spirits use to describe humans.
Clueless.
One word humans would use to describe spirits.
All-knowing.
Are we more powerful than we think?
Absolutely.
The emotion that lingers longest after death.
Love.
Love or regret? Which echoes louder?
Love trumps anything.
Do souls hold grudges?
No, they do not. They do not judge anybody, because we're all here. We are all here playing a role in a movie.
Have you ever cried during a reading?
I think once. I'm pretty good at holding it together I always say, I'm at my best when everyone else is at their worst.
I'm like that as well. I totally know that feeling.
Right.
Coffee with a skeptic or dinner with a spirit?
Dinner with a spirit.
Are we guided or guessing?
We are guided. There's no guessing in what we do, unless you're a quack.
Is fate louder than free will?
I think fate is louder.
What emotion blocks intuition the fastest?
Sadness, skepticism. Just that'll keep spirit away. They cannot get through that low vibration.
Do animals understand the afterlife better than we do?
Yes, they see it. You look at a cat and they're scratching, the sky, and cats have real connection. And dogs too will just be barking in the corner. There's nobody there.
The most beautiful message you've ever delivered. One word to describe it.
Life-changing. It's a hyphen.
Do children see more than adults?
Yes. They have no filter when they're young.
Yeah. If you could silence one human fear instantly, what would it be?
Fear, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, of course it does. Does the other side feel closer at night?
I don't know what they feel. You're asking me. Supposedly the veil is thinnest between 3 and 5 a.m.
Have you ever felt protected by someone who has passed?
Yes.
What's heavier, grief or guilt?
Grief.
Do souls recognize each other instantly?
Instantly, just by their vibration, because they don't have bodies up there. They can make us look like they have bodies, but they're just vibrations and energy. And
is closure something we create or receive?
We create our own lives.
One thing people waste too much time worrying about.
What other people think.
If you could whisper one sentence to every listener right now, what would it be?
Your loved one is still with you. Open up your awareness and meditate to listen to them.
Finally, when you leave this earth one day, what do you hope people feel when they think about you?
That she cared about other people. And she did it her way, okay? Like Frank Sinatra, okay?
I love that. And I loved our conversation.
I did too. It was really lovely. Glad this happened overnight.
It did.
It did. It did.
I love it.
I was meant to be. I saw your name and I said, he was interested. I'm going to circle back.
Yeah, I love it. Love it. Amazing. Thank you.